This is the C Word Podcast. Everything talked about in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and is not financial advice. You should always seek professional financial advice. Now, onto the podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Season 1, Episode 2.
Wow.
2. We made it. We made it to the second episode of the C Word. And I just want to say thanks to everyone that gave us such great feedback. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't expecting that at all. I really wasn't. I thought it was just going to disappear. No one really cared. You know, it just disappeared into the internet abyss forever. But it didn't. And we got so much feedback, and I got so many messages about people really enjoyed the podcast. And I think what was really flattering, and this is what we set out to do, was that we didn't want it to be technical. We wanted this podcast to be in such a way that everyone could understand, and it could be for everyone. I think we hit that mark. I think we did it, and people really enjoyed it. And I even got to the point where, like, a couple of days ago, I had people asking me when the next one was. Like, they knew it was a monthly podcast, and they were waiting for the next one. And I started to get messages like, "Oh, when are you doing the next podcast?" And I thought that was amazing. Yeah. I think we did something right.
Doing it for the fans.
Absolutely.
It is weird though, trying to describe something so incredibly technical in a non-technical way.
Which is really hard.
Like, how do you explain one of the biggest technical advances in computing? Crypto and AI are huge leaps in the way that things are coded and the way people interact with stuff. And then trying to explain it in a way that's approachable can be really difficult.
Yeah.
I think that's why most of them are so boring.
Yeah, I think so. I think people don't know how to explain it, or they don't know how to make draw parallels with the real world. And I say real world, I'm talking about the world that everyone understands, like how many works, cash machines, databases and computers. But when it comes to like crypto, it's the underlying technology is so different. People don't know where to begin because they don't understand the underlying technology. It's the same with a car. You don't have to know the ins and outs of a car, but you understand that there's an engine. You understand that power gets delivered to the wheels and the car goes forward, right? And then you control that car via levers and gears and shit. But with crypto, there's a void. Like, there's no knowledge whatsoever because that knowledge is so complicated that people are just generally confused. And they're like, okay, well, I've got it, but what can I do with it?
People are doing it sort of like they're opening eToro and they buy a coin as if it's a share, and then they hold it, and then they sell it when the price has changed, just because they want to make money off it, which is one very small element of it. It'd be like having a car and just using it for shelter and sitting inside it without actually driving anywhere.
And it's really bizarre as well, because companies like eToro, they did a really good job of taking the complexity away from cryptocurrency by offering cryptocurrency in the same way that you would buy stocks and shares.
Yeah.
And that's how they got around it, which was quite clever. Yeah. So fair play to them, right? Crazy.
Because no one actually cares about the tech behind it.
No, they don't.
Make money. And that's the truth.
This is the problem. Yeah. No one really cares, so they shouldn't care either. Right.
Yeah.
So, but
the people that do care are the ones that change it, right? Like at the start, then when the internet was just a glorified magazine where if you knew what you were doing like a journalist, you could publish a web page and it would just have some text information and people could read it, and it was sort of kind of like a library. And then fast forward to Web3, there's crypto. It's like those people understanding what's at the back end of things and then trying to make it easier for everyone to access it. Because back in the day, remember, like if you could write a little bit of code, you would have to, like, just to open MS-DOS and play a game, C:// running stuff just to like open Prince of Persia. And now you turn on a PlayStation and you've got a controller. And people made that difference. Like, people that understood the technical aspects of it and knew what they were doing with it, then build things on top of it to let people that don't know what they're doing use it. And so far, we've only got to the point where people have built things for trading crypto as an asset or a currency, rather than it being sort of using it to build a completely new service, like a human-free, bank-free service. Because like casinos and stuff, you go and play games at a casino and the house always wins, as the phrase goes. But like if you're doing well and you win some money, then you get it. But there's still a fee. Like someone's taking a percentage for you to even just like play poker at a table. You pay the overall fee.
But there will always be a fee.
Yeah, but then like with crypto, you could build a casino where people can play the games, and that fee is just taken by the system to maintain the system. It's not someone taking profit, because people that run casinos have money, and they have money from taking that thing. Whereas you could all chip in together and start a casino. So it's like everyone who plays puts some money in, and that goes to maintaining it, but no one gets any profit from it.
So then I guess my question to you guys is, do you think that crypto isn't doing what it was intended to do?
Interesting.
So I just want to remind, it's probably a good opportunity to remind everyone really that like how cryptocurrency came to be.
Yeah.
And it was the first use case of a blockchain. It was just a test. When the first like published paper about how to blockchains existed, they had an example use case, and it was just all it was a digital currency, and it was just an example. It was like, okay, here's how you could use a blockchain, which is something no one's heard of before, but here's how you could use it. And they thought of the easiest example. Here we go, digital assets, digital money. And guess what? It just took off. That use case grew, and it grew, and all of a sudden it had legs, and people were like, hold on. You could have a possible representation of a store of value in this immutable ledger. And the idea just grew, and it grew, and it grew, and it didn't stop. And eventually they started to use this digital currency in places like the dark web, famously, you know, on the Silk Road. And eventually, the way I saw it, and I'm coming at this from like a financially naive, point of view, but anything that, no matter what it is, it could be magic beans. The point was, as with anything, if it has a supply and demand, it starts to gain value in some capacity. And this is what happened with cryptocurrency.
But then
Bitcoin.
I think of it more like, if you use that analogy of a mobile phone though, people invented mobile phones and the first thing they did was send a text message. Like that was one of the early use cases. And then everyone had phones, and it was basically like a landline, and then you could text on it, and texting was the new thing. So if you think of blockchain as like mobile phone technology, crypto is just sending a text message. And now you think about what your phone is. I mean, people barely even use it to make telephone calls anymore. So the initial like major use case, which was replacing landlines, dead. Sending messages, I don't know. If you check your phone usage, it's what, like less than 5% of most people's phone usage is sending text messages. The rest of it will be commenting on things online, watching videos, social media, all sorts of stuff.
But is that narrative being pushed more so from institutions, taking away the narrative of the use case of crypto?
Yes, I think they got so popular. That was the thing. It's very hard to, if you're in the space and you're interested in cryptography and blockchain, it's hard to stay focused on making cool stuff if you could also try and make £1 million in a week. So yeah, I think the people pushing it as a financial route have kind of skewed it, but mainly because people need money still. So if you're sat there and it's like, I could make a really interesting app on Ethereum that does something cool, or I could just put all this Bitcoin somewhere.
I'm not going to lie. I think greed took over.
Yeah.
I think human greed took over at this point. The moment digital assets started to have a real world value, right?
Yeah.
Even when Bitcoin was like $1.
Yeah, buying coffee with it.
But like in the last episode, we talked about the person that bought pizza with Bitcoin and how that was like a mad move now, given the price of BTC now. So I think I just think human greed, because you can't build a decentralized application on the Ethereum blockchain now without having some sort of like money attached to it, and without some sort of like idea of, utilizing cryptocurrency as a core feature of this decentralized application. Yeah. So it's that's where we're at. It's just.
And I think the weird thing is like how it's pushing the usage of different things, because I think Bitcoin is, like Kyo was saying, really basic. It was like the first thing, and it was like, here's a blockchain, here's an example currency, just to see if this thing works. It works. It just sends money back and forth. It doesn't do anything that interesting. Then Ethereum was made, and Ethereum has the power to have applications built on it using its systems, which is insane, really, compared to Bitcoin. But Bitcoin's worth way more. And recently, I think it was the first time ever that Bitcoin was going up and Ethereum was going down. Like, their value is decoupled for some reason. And it's mostly because people are pumping it as an asset. And Ethereum's harder to manipulate because of its usage.
So then, will we ever get any real world usage of crypto?
I believe so.
Yeah,
100%.
we will. But for us to get real world usage of crypto, the financial institutions are going to have to accept it and adopt it. Now, the thing is, I know for a fact that the work is being done behind the scenes, but until there is some sort of like government-backed, I don't know, legislation or something, it's just never going to happen. It will never happen, because I witnessed this. The moment it came to the financial institutions having to back this experiment,
they just didn't turn up.
They didn't turn up to the meeting. Like, they sent a message, you know, and this, and you know what? That was the end of that project. It died on the spot. That was the end of it. And you can't fight that.
No.
Right? You can't fight that. And then this is a reminder of where the real world is. This is the reminder of who holds the power in this day and age. You can have loads of crypto, but until it is not considered a real store of value, so to speak, it still means nothing. And people have got to remember that. They've got to remember that. I still speak to people that are desperate to get into crypto and they want to put their life savings into it. And I'm like, don't, for fuck's sake, please do not do that. But it's also a shame. So whenever someone comes up to me now and the first thing, I always get the same couple of questions, but the first thing I always get is, what should I buy? And I just say straight away, I can't advise you on that. Sorry. Whereas in the past, I used to be like, oh, well, you've got this asset, you've got that coin, you know, like I used to go into detail. But now, given from what I've seen, and also I don't want to be held responsible, but from what I've seen about how volatile the market is, which is, again, the volatility of cryptocurrency is actually quite an alien concept to Mrs. Smith in Clapham.
I think, as like you were saying about, you used to advise and then you don't. It's very easy to learn your lessons, because people would only ask questions if it was in the news, and it was only in the news if it was an all-time high, and an all-time high is a terrible time to buy stuff. Yeah. So but they wouldn't even ask like, what should I buy? And I would like often answer the question that people ask me instead of what they're actually asking. But people would be like, how do I buy Bitcoin? And it was like, this is how you buy Bitcoin. Yeah. But they would only ask when it was an all-time high. Yeah. And then it would go straight out. So they would buy stuff, and then they'd be like, well, I'll put money into this, and now it's not worth anything. Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, well, I wasn't giving you advice on whether to buy it or not. You were just asking me how to buy it, and I went through the technical steps of buying it.
And how did people know that you guys were the go-to people to go to about crypto?
Well, I think people know who we are just via normal conversations and stuff. We don't necessarily advertise ourselves, but...
Until they started making a podcast about it.
Yeah. Until now.
Yeah.
But people don't, people just, like, for example, you know, I always talk about the school run.
Yeah.
And
what do you do for a living?
Yeah, what do you do for a living? The moment they tell, the moment I tell them, this is the role I work in, they stop me and they will have a 20-minute conversation. They will not let me move.
Yeah.
You know, they'll follow me. They'll follow me down the road. It's like, I've really got to get my children home. And they will literally follow me, and they'll just keep asking me questions. This happened, by the way. This is something that happened. And they wanted to know what they should buy, how it works, why it exists, where it came from.
Yeah.
Like, they just don't know this. It's totally alien to them. And when I try to explain it to them in proper dumbed down terminology,
Yeah.
it still doesn't quite sit with them, because if they're not super technical to begin with, then they're not going to understand. They're just not going to. They're not going to get it, and that's difficult for me.
So we're making a podcast so you have an easier school run. Is that what you're saying?
Massively.
Yeah.
I'd rather listen. Just go onto YouTube
Yeah.
and type in the C Word podcast. All your questions will be answered.
Yeah.
Do not worry about it.
Or not.
Or not. Yeah. Or you might have more questions.
Can you describe your job in a way that doesn't give too much away?
Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I help drive cryptocurrency adoption in a user-friendly way. Do you think that hit the mark?
Yeah. It's quite a technical role. That sounds like it could be salesy.
It's so technical. It's the most technical it can be.
Yeah. You work in like dev type work in the crypto space, like
So-
blockchain development.
Absolutely. Yeah. There is no crypto without programming behind the scenes.
Yeah.
For sure.
How do blockchains work? That is a big question. Simple terms for the most complicated technology. So blockchains are storing information in blocks in a chain. That's why it's called a blockchain. And each block has information about a change of some kind of number. So if you think about a whole website just being zeros and ones, the first block has the information of what the chain is and all the information on it. And then the second block has the information about which block it's linked to, i.e. the first block, and anything that's changed since the first block to make the second block. And then on and on like that until you have
that's literally it.
Millions of blocks.
And the thing is because the next block knows everything about the last block, and that block knows everything about the last block, and it keeps going all the way back to the Genesis block, as it's known as.
Yeah.
If one thing changes in any of these blocks, the whole thing is broken.
Yeah.
The whole thing is broken because the link all the way back to the Genesis block does not exist anymore.
Yeah.
So this is how blockchains work, and it is a perfect technology. It's a perfect way of creating a cryptographic timeline. Whereas now, if you look at, like, I don't know, someone's balance in their bank account, it's just it's a column in a fucking database.
Yeah.
Right.
You can change a database without.
Yeah. And someone can go in. I'm just saying, like, if there was some sort of perfect heist going on, someone could go in and just add a load of zeros using a mouse and a keyboard.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They could just go in and just tap loads of times, press enter, they're rich.
Yeah.
And it would reflect on your bank account straight away. But you can't do that with a blockchain.
No.
You can't do it.
Because you would see from the previous block that wasn't the case.
Yes. And you will break the block. And the data, the way the blockchain will work and the cryptographic algorithms will be like, that didn't happen here. And then the whole chain is broken.
Yeah.
Now, just for reference, people have tried to do that with blockchains. And simply what happens is the computer that is trying to report that change just gets disregarded.
I think that's an important thing to point out as well, though, that so the computers that adapt to blockchain are called a node, and all the nodes connected can see what's going on. So if you think about this, like if there were all people in a room and there's 100 people and everyone knows that there's an element of truth in the middle, and it's like everyone knows how much each other person has got, and then one person just goes, I'm a millionaire, and the other 99 people go, no. That's not what happened.
That's a great analogy.
But then
that's such a great way of putting it.
If everyone sees it and you're like, oh, right, yeah, this person just won the lottery, now they've got £1 million, then everyone agrees. And if everyone's in agreement, then it gets put on as a block. It's a very simple explanation.
No, but that was a great explanation. That was a great analogy. Because that makes total sense. And also it's the way that, you explained it in a way that that is normal. That's how people understand it.
Yeah.
Right.
But then in sort of banking terms, you have no idea who owns what or who knows what. Yeah. And someone could just be like, yeah, I'm a millionaire. And you're like, okay, fine, I guess. If you got,
sir.
Yeah. If you got a mansion and a supercar, maybe you are. Like no one's gonna question it. But I think one of the things that I really liked about crypto is, when you start hearing about people that got loads of money and it turns out that they don't, it's like, how do billionaires pay such a small amount of tax? And it's because they don't have money. They borrow money against what their companies are worth. So they actually have debt, and you don't pay tax on debt. Whereas crypto is very much like, if you got the coins, you got the coins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so fascinating, because it's how you think money works when you're a kid, albeit it lives on a very complicated system. It's like someone gives you some money and then you have the money. And if you give the money to someone else, then they have the money. And that's how it moves around. Whereas when you start to look more into financial institutions, a bank could just make money. They could just sort of print it, or they could write a debt to someone. So this is something that I maybe still don't understand properly, but started learning about recently, is like when you get a mortgage, the money's just sort of doubled because the debt doesn't exist. It's just written on a paper in a bank that says, okay, this person owes us this much money. So then the bank has the £500,000 that you owe them for a house, but they also have the £500,000 that exists that they might have in the bank that they're sort of putting it against. Every time there's debt created, it just doubles the money, but it doesn't actually exist.
Fascinating.
Can you not take out a loan on crypto? I'm sure institutions like Coinbase are the fact that you can.
You can't really. No, you can't. So there is.
But in a way that people could lend you the money.
Is if they. The only way you could take out a loan is if there's a service offering you their crypto, but they can't create the debt. The assets have to exist in the first place. They can't make it up. You know that. And I know some people might be listening to this and thinking, well, you can't make up assets in the real world. It's like, well, you can actually. You know, that totally exists. That concept totally exists.
Yeah, it's called futures trading also. You're like, that's just gambling on. I saw this explanation about futures trading, and it was that it's people trading wheat that hasn't been grown yet. And then there can be a whole extra market where people sell futures warehouses for where the future wheat might be kept. And then they can just keep adding stuff to be like, oh, well, someone's going to need to drive this wheat from the farm to the pretend warehouse. And then there's a whole other thing of like the vehicles that will be used to move it around. And it's just insane.
You're mocking it.
But with cryptocurrency, this is not possible. It's not possible. And it's just purely all comes down to cryptography and the mathematics that are running the system underneath.
Yeah.
If something doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. If it's zero, it's zero. If it's one, it's one. It literally comes down to that. You can't imagine something in crypto and expect it to be there. That concept is not a thing.
Yeah.
Are you not? Can you not trade perps? So futures, crypto futures
Doesn't exist.
Interesting.
I mean, you could trade it outside of crypto. So that's the big difference is element like companies that do custodial services. So like a lot of crypto exchanges, you don't own your money because you don't have you buy a cryptocurrency and it appears in your wallet instantly because they're just putting it there and pretend. It only becomes real coin when you transfer it out of those custodial ones. So I think there's people building apps where you can trade futures on it, but they might exist outside of the cryptography of it. And that's maybe what makes it difficult. That there's the technology where the actual crypto exists, and then there's the markets that have been built around it.
I think that is what my big question is. Is crypto an asset or is it a medium of exchange? But it can't be both. And I think this is where the grey area lies. Because if it's an asset, sweet, I'm going to put it in my portfolio and trade it, invest it as an asset. Whereas if it's a medium of exchange, I should be able to go out to Tesco and buy chocolate bars with it. And I think this is where the disparity of here is what crypto was set out to do, and this is what it actually does.
Yeah.
Because I from an institutional standpoint, I don't think crypto as an asset class cannot be ignored, right? Because when you look at BTC, Bitcoin, $2 trillion market cap, it's larger than the FTSE 100 market cap, which is the top 100 companies in the UK.
Yeah.
You're talking about 100 companies with a market cap of 1.6 billion is still smaller than the largest crypto. That is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to
insane.
ignore, right? It's hard to ignore. And I think this is where there is a massive struggle for this to actually become adopted it's a real problem. It's a real problem because, for reasons I won't understand, we've got a real big issue with cryptocurrency and its adoption for reasons that are beyond me.
Yeah, well, I think fear and partly what you were saying about it has to stay as an asset class because it fluctuates too much for you to, because of the fear. Like you buy a pizza with it and then all of a sudden you're the guy in 10 years time where everyone's like, this idiot spent 500 grand on a pizza. Like nobody wants to be that guy. So people just won't spend it. But Bitcoin's a weird case. And if there's stuff where like people have tried to build institutions where it could kind of regulate and make it more like a financial institution. Like I'd totally forgotten about it, but there was a service where you could just put money in and people could use it to build stuff. And it kind of worked like a bank. I don't know if we should say the name of it.
I don't recall that bank.
No, the crypto, yeah.
Oh my God.
And
I remember that.
I remember it 'cause I opened my pillow wallet the other day and
way.
mine had gone up to like 300%.
Wow.
And I was like, I thought that was kind of dead or being a scam. But I put
No
quite a lot of
way.
Ethereum into it.
I can't believe this because I used to own that and I fucking sold it.
Yeah, I can't mind.
Classic crypto.
Idiot.
Be rude.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, it's a weird one.
Wow. No way.
But
So
the whole thing behind that was, right, that it was going to be like a bank.
yeah.
And they would try and have a coin that kept its value kind of steady.
So
So
do
people
you-
could use it to build stuff.
So what happened? So what caused this massive price change?
I've not even had time to look into it.
Right. Okay, but it's just gone
I
up.
just opened my wallet and it's up.
That's incredible.
Big ups.
See, this is the thing. This is the volatility that we're talking about. And here's the thing: like nothing might have happened. Who knows
Yeah.
what might have happened?
But I think the thing, because I got rid of everything that was just kind of stupid. Like I had a lot of coins that I just bought because vibes, like
Yeah.
Doge,
Feels.
SHIB,
Yeah.
all these things where it was like meme coins, stupid stuff. And I was like, right, I'm going to get rid of those. The way that I sort of neatened up my crypto portfolio was I went through each one and I only kept stuff that I thought had real world value, apart from Bitcoin because it's Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But like I kept Ethereum because you can build apps on it. I kept Ohm because I thought they were offering some kind of service, and I kept some. I'm not going to list them all because it sounds like advice, but there's like, which it isn't. I just kept things that I thought had a use, or I could see how they could be used in the future, and then they could become something. So it wasn't just like a glorified pump and dump scheme. It
Yeah.
was sort of something that would have a service or like to become a tool of some sort. And
Makes
that's the
sense.
only reason I kept on.
And that's the interesting thing about cryptocurrencies is a lot of them have utilities
Yeah.
attached to it. Now, this is not really a thing that we see with traditional finance and money and notes.
No. Although I think, because one of the things I kept was Mana, the Decentraland
Yeah.
currency, which the more I think about it is just like having Disney dollars.
Yeah. Do you want to just quickly explain what Decentraland is?
Decentraland is a game. It's kind of like a decentralized version of Roblox or Minecraft.
Yeah.
You can build your own games. You can buy land. There was a massive explosion of land. There was sort of like a land grab in Decentraland where people were buying, because it's mapped out on a real map, not a real map, but
Yeah.
like all of the locations are real and you can move around them as if it were real. So you could walk from place to place.
Yeah. Someone basically created a virtual world and then was selling the real estate inside it.
Yeah, and the real estate that was close to the middle was worth a lot more than the
Yeah.
real estate close to the edge, like most cities.
Classic humans.
Yeah. I want to be close to the middle, even though you could just transport by dropping
Yeah.
yourself anywhere.
It's funny how like that real world sort of thinking comes into like a virtual world and people want
Yeah.
to be in the middle or
This is
next
it.
to a lake or something.
Yeah, I want to be near the Nike store.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, the digital currency.
it was
in
the
order
currency you used to buy stuff, but you could also mine it. So there was a time
didn't know
when,
that.
yeah, so I was between jobs and you like literally just go into a field and start hitting the floor with a pickaxe
Oh, I see.
and you could find stuff.
Right,
then you
okay.
could go to a machine and turn those things into items.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then there was a market.
Right.
So you could spend your day digging in the ground like a sort of gold prospector.
Yeah.
I'll find stuff and like make interesting hats and then sell them to other people that wanted to have an interesting hat but didn't have the time to dig a hole in the ground.
Fascinating. And this is an example of a decentralized application with cryptocurrency built in on the ground floor.
Yeah.
They did it. And they used their own cryptocurrency, Mana,
Yeah.
to drive the whole thing, which in turn creates supply and demand, which in turn create a market value that is worth something in the real world.
Yeah, we've solved it.
In terms of utility doesn't necessarily make you money. So how have you found that?
Yeah,
Because
interesting.
crypto's, from my understanding, is quite sentiment based. If you can get a decent community on Twitter, you could probably pump a decent coin on Dex Screener. That doesn't have any utility, but it'll make you money.
If you're Hocked or Donald Trump, for example.
Or Melania, or any of the other extended family these days.
Yeah. Was Baron Coin real or not?
No one
I
knows.
don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
That's a shame.
Can I just say as well?
How tall is he?
I heard he's 6'7".
Oh, right.
I
Yeah.
think
I'm
he
keen,
looks it.
I'm keen to see him and Gary Barlow's son in the same room.
Shout out Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
6 foot, 7 foot.
Pump and dumps is a good thing to cover, though.
Sure,
I think they exist in regular times.
Should we just cover what a pump and dump is?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so a pump and dump is where someone either makes a coin or finds a coin with no value, buy lots of it, then get other people to buy it, which makes the value of it go up, and then they sell a huge amount of it, and that makes it instantly
Profitable.
disappear.
Whilst the value is up.
Yeah.
And that's where the profit came in.
Yeah.
So, you made money, but that's because you drove the price up yourself
And then sold it.
and then sold it at the higher price, whereas
Yeah.
you bought it for next to nothing, for example.
Yeah, so like if you had loads of money and you managed to buy a coin that was just some random meme coin about a dog maybe, and then you inflate the price of it by creating a branch of government and naming it the same thing as the coin and buying a social media platform and then just making sure that any mention of that coin gets put out to everyone. So loads of people buy it and the value goes up.
Yeah.
And then you can get rid of it.
That's pump and dump on an industrial scale.
Yeah. So yeah, if you've got a huge audience and enough money to buy a lot of a coin that's not worth much, or just a coin that you've created, then you could do it. I think the Trump one was interesting because this is another thing about crypto. You can code in who's allowed what. So 80% of the Trump coin could only be owned by, was it Fight the Good Fight or something it's called?
Yeah.
Whatever his legal defense company is called. They would have 80%, and then normal people could buy up to 20% of the coin. And they did buy lots of it. And then the 80% got sold. And all of the people that had bought it end up with nothing.
This is probably a concept that we should cover. Actually, it's just the idea. You mentioned it, smart contracts.
Smart contracts, yeah.
Smart contracts. So
That's how pump and dumps work so well in crypto, isn't it?
yes, yeah. So
Because it's all automated.
it's worth let's just talk about smart contract. Cryptocurrency, especially the more modern blockchains that run cryptocurrencies, for example, Ethereum and anything that's Ethereum based, even Solana, have this idea of smart contracts. Now, all that is little pieces of code that run on the blockchain. They're like micro applications that are forever running on the blockchain. And they have a limited amount of intelligence, but enough to allow it to make decisions based on inputs and outputs from other smart contracts. Now, whenever you create a cryptocurrency, you're actually just deploying a smart contract to the blockchain that has your cryptocurrency name, the symbol, and how much of it is going to be available as soon as you deploy this smart contract onto the blockchain. The moment you do that, it's live. It's live. Your coin is live. It was that easy.
Yeah.
It was that easy. Can you believe that? Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. Anyone. It's not protected. It's not controlled. If you've got a little bit of Ethereum, for example, and you know how to do a little bit of coding, you can deploy your own cryptocurrency today in 5 minutes to the blockchain.
Oh, they
And
are.
you've
You
got
don't
it.
even really need to be able to code. You can just ask.
Yeah, it does.
Ask a
There are,
large language model how to code a smart contract and deploy that.
absolutely. Pick out your favorite large language model and ask it, and it will do it for you.
Yeah, not advice.
And it's crazy because that's how easy it is, and people don't realize that's how easy it is.
Yeah,
Mrs. Smith in Clapham could do it herself,
yeah,
right? And it's just a shocking thing another shocking thing that I always tell people. It's like, you could do it now, you can do it tomorrow.
yeah.
You can call it whatever you want.
That's
And
it.
you can launch it, and you can start sending your own cryptocurrency around to other people, and it would be worth zero, sure, but it's minimal amount of work that you would need to do to get it to start to rise in value.
But that's why it's like, if it's not about the value of the currency, then it could just be doing stuff that's useful without having a value.
Yes. So smart contracts are basically micro applications that run on the blockchain. One use case of a smart contract is, of course, deploying your own cryptocurrency. But it's really important to note that you can deploy a smart contract to do anything else as well on the blockchain. Whilst the blockchain is live and happening,
Yeah,
you can get your micro application to listen to events and do something. So, for example, I don't know, something happens with the cryptocurrency USDC with another smart contract. You can get your smart contract to do something based on the output of what happened between that action.
even the example we had about betting, where you can make a smart contract where we both put some money in as a bet, and it pays out to the person who's right by checking the information itself and sending the money to the wallet.
Yeah,
That would still be
exactly. And traditional money can't do that
no. Someone
unless
has to
there's
press the
another
button.
system. It's that money is in the custody of another system,
Yeah,
and it will do the work for it. But this is totally autonomous. Like, it happens on its own without you even knowing about it.
and again with the analogy of the internet, that's just like the first layer of what it could do.
Yeah.
So we got to a point where people have built smart contracts, but you could build apps on top of chains that have multiple smart contracts that interact with each other to do something that hasn't been invented yet.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and it's fascinating because that's just the beginning. That's just where we're at.
Yeah,
So take this as like a base level cryptocurrency 101, and it can do all of the above. In 20 years' time, where will we be?
yeah,
And in 20 years' time, will cryptocurrency have taken over not taken over, but will they be living side by side? Can I go
Yeah.
to the shop down the road and buy a chocolate bar?
yeah. Well, find out on season 20 of the C Word.
Yeah.
You don't think it's going to work like that?
Never.
Why not?
People care about making money too much for it to actually happen.
But they can make money. They can still make money, though, can't they?
I think it goes back to your point in terms of human greed. Also, I just don't think it'll happen. I think when you get institutions like BlackRock coming in to play the game, right, they're going to start hoarding crypto, and then you then get the concept of TradFi and DeFi, right? DeFi, decentralized finance, as you guys would know. BlackRock are now hoarding as much crypto as you can, and then selling it to investors in a TradFi way. And I think this is the problem. And I think that's what goes back to my question of utility versus people wanting to make money.
Yeah. But I mean, there's two ways out of that, right? BlackRock collapses
Won't happen,
unfortunately,
unfortunately.
with the West.
Okay. Yeah, fair.
And I think there's a rise in anger and understanding of how dangerous late stage capitalism is. And capitalism as a general sort of, the fact that we've had an economic system that's existed for maybe 200 years, and the only reason it has value is from stealing land and genocide. And it's become so fragile because the whole system is just based on funneling money to a very few amount of people. And everyone's getting quite angry because they can't afford stuff. And as they're getting angry, more people are looking as to why they can't afford stuff. And then they see that the system's not really set up for people to afford stuff. It's set up to get everyone funneling money to a few people. And there's been a lot of maybe misinformation, or the way that we're educated is to think that that's how it's always been, and to conflate capitalism with trade and having things. And it's not the case at all. Like, we had thousands of years before that, and even like a long time of trading. That it wasn't just that we had barter and then we had capitalism as we know it today. There's a big middle ground where you can have stuff, and we could code a fairer society where if you take the element of human greed and make contracts around safeguarding everyone from it. Like, if we all agree just to go into a system and we leave traditional finance, like, this is a sort of quite a lofty idea. But if we all just said, I'm not going to use banks anymore. We're all going to use DeFi. No one's using TradFi anymore. So your dollars are worthless. Your pounds are worthless. We can all start again. Because there's a point where if we carry on the way we're going, there's going to be 5 people. And I mean, it looks like they're all just going to be old white guys. They're going to have all the money. And they're going to have all the money and all the power. And everyone will just be like, but what if you don't have the money? And there's 2 ways out of that. There's the classic revolution method, the guillotine, setting things on fire. Your old school French Revolution. You're hearing the people sing the songs of angry men. Yeah. And then there's heads coming off. Or I think like a safer and less violent route. We just say we're not doing that anymore. Like that has no value. Yeah. If we all decide that we don't use dollars, or we don't use pounds, or we don't use euros, and it's like we could all just use a coin that exists, or we could build our own that everyone agrees on. And then we have this system where they don't control it. Because their only power is the fact that the money that we need to buy food is the money that they control the value of. But if everyone who's making the value, which is sort of people who work, people who are growing food, driving it somewhere, or like making power, these infrastructures, they're all run by people, and we could just sort of have our coins and say, oh, we're just going to move to a system where you don't exist anymore. Then it could happen.
That's serious next level thinking. And, it's interesting that you said that, because something similar has crossed my mind in the past before, where you just, if enough people can get together, they can remove the power from certain things just by not
engaging with it.
Not engaging with it, right? Because if someone doesn't engage with something, then it has no power. It means nothing. And then what is it? After that, it's nothing.
Yeah, they just have their spreadsheet that they can manipulate, and everyone else works off a spreadsheet that can't be manipulated.
Yeah. So it is an interesting thing. And I also wonder, you touched on a really interesting thing. I have a feeling that this decentralization and the fact that blockchains are autonomous is quite dangerous in the sense.
Yeah, like any technical system. Yeah. Like you need to be made by people in a way
that have a backdoor to it.
And also in a way that sort of removes bias. Yeah. So like the other big technology with AI is it's trained on data, and data is made by people, so it can be dodgy. Yeah. So fascinating. You have to make sure that you build it in a way that's fair and that everyone agrees on, which is the difficult bit.
Yeah. This is the problem. This is what I think the threat to traditional finance is from blockchains, is that they are not in control. They're not in control of it. Yeah. And I think this is where the wedge is being driven. They would rather be in control, classic human trait, than not be in control of a financial system.
Imagine, if you controlled all money and then someone was just like, I've made a new money.
It doesn't need you.
Oh, fuck. I'm just going to buy it all.
So, it's deep.
But then I think the sort of buying things with one currency is where sort of cross-chain stuff comes into action. Because it is weird that you can buy crypto with cash. That's where the two worlds meet. And that's where the regulation usually happens.
Yeah, that's the only point at which I think the regulation is happening.
Yeah, like if you want to buy crypto with a fiat currency, you have to do your KYC, know your customer, where you have to submit everything, like your name, address, and you buy some crypto. And if you send it to another wallet, you have to say whose wallet it is and where they live.
This has become a real massive thing now, by the way. KYC in the UK. I think they changed the law around this recently, or not the law, but the financial requirements around this recently. So every company in the UK that's dealing with crypto have to complete this KYC process before you continue. And you also have to answer a brief questionnaire just to check if you know about cryptocurrency. And something I saw recently that I didn't know existed, but there's now a certain amount of time you've got to wait. Like buying a gun in the US, you've got to wait a certain amount of time and come back later, just in case you're in that frame of mind where you can't.
I'm going to put my whole life savings in this.
Yeah. You know, you're in that frame of mind. And I couldn't believe it. All I wanted to do was buy a tiny bit of Ethereum so I can make a transaction as a developer.
Yeah.
Right? And I had good, totally legitimate programming reasons to use this. But I was made to wait. I think it was 24 hours.
A weird question, but
before you could send it off.
Before I could buy it. Yeah.
Why are you buying Ethereum just to?
Oh, I just made it up for the story.
Okay, I was gonna say.
It wasn't that. It was. I think I can't remember what I was.
I was like, there's no way you don't have enough Ethereum.
No, I know.
You're
absolutely right. That was just for the story. And
the reason for that is because they need to appease the FCA.
Of course.
And
the FCA are ruining everything, though.
They are, and that's part of the problem. So in financial services, when you're working with clients, there is both. You have your retail client, which is said person who has fuck all market knowledge, and then you have your professional clients, right? So if I was to have a client that, let's say they had 5 million quid and they wanted to...
Can you not talk about my finances?
Sorry. and you wanted to buy McDonald's because you saw Stormzy's new ad and you knew you were going to make millions. If I was to take that execution only order, we would call it, I need to know that you're a market professional. So in the eyes of the FCA, you need to be trading volume at least 14 times a quarter. So you need to make 14 trades a quarter, and your portfolio needs to be north of £500,000 quid. So I think how they appease the FCA is those are the types of questions that Coinbase, Kraken will ask. How much volume are you trading? How often are you trading it? What is your net worth? Because crypto is being positioned that it's only for professional clients.
Interesting.
As opposed to retail. And therefore, they're trying to make the barriers to entry quite high.
That's fascinating.
All you need to do is lie.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
So I've completed a couple of these KYCs.
I'm worth 10 mil.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Balling.
We've made KYCs. I remember building stuff together where we had to put it in.
Yeah. And,
absolute baller.
And it is really, I couldn't believe how easy it was to fake, really. Like, I can imagine most people have probably, like, I'm talking about, I say most people, I'm talking like 90%.
Yeah.
Have just faked it. And I know for a fact that there are certain providers out there where if you put the wrong answers in, it will log you out. But then when you log back in, you can just take the test again immediately.
Here's the thing that I didn't understand as well, because I was, if I'm transferring from a custodial service like Kraken or Coinbase to a wallet that's not like a real wallet, without having the 12 words to you, I have to say that I'm sending it to my own wallet. But then from there, you can send it on to anywhere you want.
Yeah, that's true. Once it's out of the custodial part, it's into the unrestricted blockchain, let's say, it's free game.
So here's the thing that we need to solve is for crypto to be adopted by everyone, there needs to be, what's that thing called when you can get like 80 grand back if you get
the
robbed.
FCA.
Financial compensation scheme.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
FCS. We need like a crypto FCS.
You know about that?
Just a pot of cash.
Yeah, it's so there was a company that did something along these lines, and it wasn't like a compensation scheme, but it was a
crypto
form
insurance.
Crypto insurance.
I remember
I think
this.
the company was called LexisNexis.
Yeah.
And I don't really know whether I've never seen it. I've never seen it in action.
Yeah.
I've never performed a transaction.
I looked at it a lot, and I was really worried it was a scam.
This is
because I think this is not advice, but if you were going to set up a scam, setting up something that's a service for people that are worried about being scammed, it just like brings people to you, being like, if you're worried about being scammed, you should get this, and then it's like, oh, I'm actually really worried about being scammed because I'm actually really susceptible to scams. so I need some kind of scam insurance. Can you protect me? That was the main thing that
Yes,
put me
sir.
off. I was like, what if I'm just being worried and I give these people money to protect me from scams? And it's,
And it's just a scam.
Yeah, it's a wolf
Scam
in
is
sheep's
protecting
clothing.
the person that cares about being scammed.
Yeah.
It'll never happen though. I hate to be so cynical, but it
Go
won't
on.
happen because a lot
Not
of
not in the real financial world, yeah. In the crypto world, mate, left, right, and center. I'm telling you.
now I'm talking about your 85 grand saved in crypto, FSCS,
FSCS.
Financial Services Compensation Scheme. So you're allowed to have £85,000 per bank,
Yeah.
and then if you have a joint account, it's 170,000. But what a lot of people don't know, for certain private banks, for a certain period of time, you can have £1 million based on certain financial, what do they call it? Certain life periods. So, for example, if you
Sold
sell
a
your
house.
home
Yeah.
and
Right.
you're moving
Wow.
and you haven't bought your house straight away, you can have you'll be protected up to £1 million at Coots, for example.
Yeah.
But the Financial Services Compensation Scheme is mainly there for banks, not necessarily investment vehicles, and that's the problem. So a lot of
But
investment
they're there for
managers-
banks, right? Because stuff like Northern Rock, where if everyone loses their mortgage and then they have to pay out what people are actually owed, like maybe $500,000 each, and they go, "Oh, sorry, you're only protected for 85. Here you go." Then they don't go bankrupt because they don't have to pay out. They know exactly how much they need to pay out because it's a number of accounts times 85 grand, rather than however much people actually owed. That's mad. I never thought
It's
about
ridiculous.
In the last episode,
that. Yeah,
Donald Trump was not president.
that's wild.
Can you believe that?
I
Can
can't.
you think of all the shit that's happened now?
Yeah,
Everything that's happened, and between the last episode and now, he was not president, and now he is.
yeah.
And I couldn't help noticing what was happening to the crypto market. It was insane. It was on fire. It was
Yeah.
on fire.
Up and down the whole time.
Yeah, it was wild. It was just,
Because the lead up to him being inaugurated, it was like going
Yeah,
up to all-time highs.
it was all-time high. Now, we predicted in the last episode what was going to happen. And there is a YouTube short on our socials of us predicting what was going to happen. And it happened. It happened exactly.
Not again.
It happened exactly how we said it was going to happen. Matt, you said there was going to be a global pump and dump like we've never seen, and that is what happened. In the run-up to his inauguration, the blockchains were busy,
Yeah.
right? So for those that don't know how to tell whether a blockchain is busy, and for those who actually just generally don't know this, but it costs you to make a transaction. If you want to send something from person A to B or your friend, it costs you.
Or your own wallet to your own other wallet is
Yeah,
the most painful
yeah.
way to spend gas.
That's another thing, yeah. You can have many wallets. If you want to send money from yourself to even yourself, it's going to cost you. Whereas in the traditional finance world, if I want to send my friend money, it doesn't cost me anything. And that's because the financial institutions or the banks or whatever, they absorb the cost.
Yeah. Because they
Right.
make money off other stuff.
Of
like
course.
Debts.
But with cryptocurrency, debts. But with cryptocurrency, you pay for that transaction.
Yeah.
And again, it probably speaks to the cryptographic purity of it all. You know, like no one else is going to send this for you. It can only be you. Therefore, you have to pay for the cost of the transaction. Now, the cost of the transaction
Gas prices.
is called gas, like in the same way that, you know, petrol powers a car and allows us to go from A to B. But in the blockchain space, it's called gas. And the gas price goes up and down based on how busy the blockchain is. So if there's loads of people using the blockchain and you want to send some Ethereum to your friend and the blockchain is busy, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
But if the blockchain is not busy and there's not many people using it for whatever reason that might be, it's subject to market forces just like everything else.
Yeah.
It might cost you 0.00001 cent.
Yeah, separately. Not financial advice, but if you had a smart contract that would wait until the gas price was low, if it's not an urgent transaction, like you're just sending it from one wallet to another, you don't need it immediately. You could set up a smart contract so when gas gets to the lowest it's likely to,
just sends
then
automatically.
it sends automatically when gas is low rather than doing it as you remember it.
Absolutely. So that's one great use case straight away. But in the run up to the inauguration, the networks, the blockchains were busy. They were busy. They were busy, and it was expensive to do anything. And that's how the blockchain economy works. If you want to use the blockchain whilst it's busy, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
Because in turn, it's costing the node operators who run the blockchain computers to offer the decentralized way of working. It's costing them more to run the infrastructure, to handle the amount of transactions that are happening at that moment in time.
Yeah.
So it's like a knock-on effect, trickle down. So basically,
gas went crazy.
Gas prices were like through the roof. It was costing you a lot more just to send a simple transaction on the blockchain than it was the value of the thing that you were sending.
Yeah, that must have been rough for your test transaction for the Ethereum you bought.
Yeah, it was rough, right?
Yeah.
So you could see what was happening. It was everyone was buying into crypto. Yeah. Everyone was getting ready for it. Yeah. It was big.
Here we go. Any minute now.
200 moment now.
grand of Bitcoin.
We're all going to become rich.
Yeah.
This is going to be the big thing. Everyone's going to become loaded. There's going to be Lambos everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Just driving.
You telling me you don't have one already?
Oh no, well, not one that I want to show people.
Yeah. Yeah. What you need before crypto goes off, shares in Lamborghini.
That's a very good point, actually.
Yeah.
I know a guy who can get you some.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I think I'm looking at the person. So the inauguration happened.
Yeah, he's in.
And in his inauguration speech, he reeled off policy after policy after policy after policy, and he didn't mention crypto once.
No.
Which
is weird, because on his socials, his coins and his wife's coins and his family coins were all going off.
Yeah, he absolutely capitalized on that, right? He launched his own tokens and knew what was happening, capitalized on it, didn't mention it in inauguration, had no executive orders at that moment in time lined up.
Yeah.
Right? And
now he's done 1,000 or so executive orders.
But what's crazy is after that inauguration, the price of BTC tanked as people realized that, again, it was just too good to be true.
Yeah.
I think it was just a classic example, what we would call buy the rumor, sell the fact.
Yeah.
The rumor is Trump is a market man. The rumor is Trump likes crypto. Buy the rumor. When the fact actually comes out, he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Sell BTC. Sell your assets.
Yeah.
I think it was just a classic example of that.
But he doesn't know that much of it, I don't think.
No, I don't think he does.
Yeah.
I don't think he does. In my opinion, this is how I saw it. He was trying to appease a particular sector of his voter base.
Yeah. Well, I think one of his many kids or advisors was like, you can make a shitload of money on crypto because there's like millions of people doing what you want now. Imagine if you're worried about doing a pump and dump in general, it's that you don't have enough people following you. Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
To do that, like to do the pump.
Yeah.
Right. But
I don't have enough people to scam. Sorry.
Yeah. But if you've just done something where I don't even remember the number, but millions of people have just voted for you because they think that you're right and you have their best interests at heart. That's basically like having a mailing list for a scam.
Yeah, massively. And I think he took advantage of this, launched his own tokens, and watched the price of it. And I watched this in real time. I was watching the charts in real time. Yeah. And I couldn't believe the amount of activity. And in the moment nothing happened, it just tanked. Yeah. And that was it. The dream was over. And what was interesting is then came the executive order. And the executive order was the biggest load of nonsense and garbage that I've ever seen come from the highest office in the fucking land of the world.
Yeah.
Right. And that's saying something. I read that executive order 3 times and I couldn't get anything out of it that meant anything in real terms for the crypto space.
What does it say?
It mentioned, the main things it mentioned was about how America's going to be a global leading player.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. All this, all that. The only thing that might have meant something was that they defined certain terminology like blockchain.
Yeah.
Right. Excellent place to start. They talked about central bank CBDCs, central bank digital currencies,
Yeah.
and how they set out some very minor rules around this.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing that meant something, but also meant nothing at the same time, was that it said that they were going to set up a couple of working groups about what to do with cryptocurrencies. Now, here's the thing.
Think tanks and stuff.
Yeah. But whenever I hear the word working group,
Yeah.
someone else is in control.
Yeah.
Make no mistake. So this working group is probably the US Treasury.
But also they made it very clear how they're going to try and make it work when JD Vance gave a speech at the EU, which was kind of unhinged as well.
Yeah, in many ways.
I've held a sword. And you guys should stop trying to regulate crypto because you're making it very difficult for me and my friends to make money. Was the whole vibe. It was like, you guys are ruining crypto by making it regulated, and it's really hard for us to do stuff, so you better stop.
Yeah.
That was it.
And it was just really disappointing because when you saw that, going back to watching the charts in real time, when the executive order came out, which was several days after his inauguration, and you obviously thought, well, I've got to appease the voter base, to make sure that they keep voting for me.
Yeah.
You could see the executive order was released, and when you watched the charts, you could see there was a big spike, and it went up. But you could see the confusion in the market just by looking at the graphs. So as the time went on, it was just going up and down. It was going green. Then it would tank again. Then it was just going up again. Then it would just tank again. You could see in real time the confusion, people trying to understand it, and then realized that this was the biggest nothing burger of an executive order that they've ever seen. And then eventually, as it is right now, BTC is sitting under six figures. As of now, it's 97. Yeah. But it's going down.
But that's not bad because, recently, what was it, a couple of months ago when it was 65?
Yeah, that's true. However,
still devastated.
Given everything that was supposed to happen, the dream, right, with Donald J. Trump getting into the White House again for the second time.
But also, was there not a lot of factors outside of that? Because I remember talking about it, and him being elected and saying that he was going to make crypto work in America was part of it. But also, coming up to the halvening, there was a lot of elements that were sort of like a trifecta of things that meant it was going to pop off.
Well, this is the thing.
So I think that's why it stayed up there, even though
this is
his
true,
element's not really followed through.
But I just thought it would be higher than it is now, because only for example, I'm just looking at the charts, and only on the 13th of Feb, it was down to 93, and it's going up and down, but it's still. Before his inauguration, it was peaking, right? It was absolutely peaking, and I thought it would moon big time. I thought this was it. This was the holy grail for crypto, and it's just showing all these signs of hesitation and weakness, which is worrying, given that he was supposed to save crypto, in terms of allowing it to be adopted mainstream.
Yeah.
But
he also made big claims about gold watches and steak. So
that's true, actually. Yeah.
He's never really actually followed through on any of these.
Yeah. And again, like you said, he's a marketing man, absolutely.
Yeah.
And people, I think, should remember that. They should remember that. I think the bottom line for this is I just thought that BTC would be way higher at this moment in time.
Yeah.
But I think all these series of events that happened never materialized. And I think people realized that they've been had.
Yeah. Well, something that I've been much more interested in the news about Bitcoin was that I think it was Coinbase that made a statement saying someone at Kraken knew who Satoshi was.
Oh, there's always
That's wild.
There's always a story about that, though, right?
No, but it was.
I thought you guys did as well, to be honest.
No, I've heard several.
Yeah, there's so many good theories, but I mean, I don't think it's one person. I think it's a group of people that gave a name to a project. But yeah, that's just a theory. But yeah, there was some evidence of a wallet from that era that moved a lot of stuff into a service that had KYC.
Oh,
in Canada.
In Canada?
Yeah. And that this Canadian company must know who the person is that had that stuff sent to them.
No
which
way.
Would be a direct link to, obviously there's still no proof whether it would have been the inventor of Bitcoin's wallet, but it was a wallet that was created in that era. So it's someone that was
And it was a lot of BTC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone, for sure, if you go that far back, and the beauty about all of this is blockchain infrastructure is public.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to, they could, if they wanted to, trace everything back. They could go all back and watch the movements. It's a lot of work. It's heavy. No one wants to do it because it's a massive, intense, expensive operation. But they could trace every single strand of where the money is moving. And
AI could make that easier, though.
That's wild.
Yeah, true.
If you could get AI to read a blockchain and just ask it a question, I think the issue is currently AI doesn't have the token amounts. Maybe like DeepSeek R2 might, but currently you just couldn't have put that much data.
You probably have to train a specific model on blockchain data just to be able to figure out.
Yeah, and probably have a few things where it's like each agent would just cover so many blocks and then coordinate with each other to check it all. Anyway, that's a separate conversation.
Well, that's one for the next episode, mate. Honestly, this always happens. We always come out with all these ideas during the recording of a podcast, and we have to put it on for the next one. Yeah. Because
so edit it out. We're going to make an AI that reads blockchain and follows people's wallets, and we're going to make what was the other service
coming to you soon on Dex Screener?
Yeah, and we'll have the service that lets you just send transactions when gas is cheap.
Yeah.
Non-urgent transactions.
Love it.
Oh, non-urgent transactions. Nut.
Ayo!
We've got ourselves a product.
Yeah.
Follow the developments on the C Word podcast. Yeah. So I'm just having a look here.
Delay your nut.
You guys. So the next thing, I think the James Howells saga continues
to be nothing. I'm so tired of this guy trying to find a broken hard drive.
You know what? I think James Howells, bless him, right? Again, man after my own heart. I probably would have done something very similar for sure, right? But I've got to respect the fact that he's going all the way with this. He's going all the way. Like, so just to recap, everyone, this is the guy that I think his ex-girlfriend threw out a hard drive with 8,000 BTC.
Yeah. I mean, also, the weird thing for me is like, we're throwing out a hard drive. I know I like to keep shit, but you could just wipe it and use it for something else. Yeah. Sell it, put it on eBay. Why are you binning a hard drive?
Well, this is the question. I'd love to have him as a guest on the show, just to ask him, like, how did this? Are you sure about all of this? But so the landfill, he's been launching legal challenge after legal challenge. I think it went quite high up in the legal chain, only for the case to be closed. Right, it came to a dead end.
Because the hard drive's probably broken. Yeah,
well, probably loads of things, right, that they don't add up or didn't make sense from a legal perspective. I'm unsure, right? I don't know. But
here's something that we should talk about, though, because I like, even in last week's episode, I was talking about a ledger and someone saying, "Are you not scared about losing your USB that's got all your crypto in it?" And me saying, "It's not in the USB drive. It's not in the hard drive."
Good point. Yeah, it's not in the hard drive.
So the hard drive being lost is, I think we should explain why that actually means anything when we've already said that it's not like the Bitcoin's in there.
Well, that's a really good point. So what he is looking for is the seed phrase.
Always back up your seed phrases.
Yeah, he is looking for the seed phrase on that hard drive that will allow him the access to the wallet space on the blockchain.
If you've got a lot of coins, just put everything in one wallet and get that seed phrase tattooed on you, or just written down somewhere.
My seed phrase. And
what is it?
I don't have. I don't have a problem telling people this because you'll never get it. But it's in a giant safe in a bank. Nice. I've been in the safe.
TradFi.
The door is like proper like Hollywood shit.
Yeah.
And
so's mine,
Mine too.
Yeah.
And
to be honest, I'm too busy trying to figure out what bank would have a safe like that.
Yeah. Safe deposit box.
Yes, behind a huge door.
Should I stop recording and guess?
It would only take a Google search, like, to find out.
No, I know, because I think it's a bank that we used to set up a company before.
You got it.
No way.
You got it. In one. Well done.
I remember looking at the bank and it was like, we're one of the only people.
And that didn't even take a Google search.
Unreal.
Already got it. And now I'm going to guess the 12 words.
We might be here a long time. So this is what he's looking for. He's looking for a hard drive that has a file or something that contains the 12 words or the seed phrase that would allow him read-write access to a particular address space on the blockchain where his 8,000 bitcoins are.
And he saved the seed phrase once to one hard drive.
I mean, yeah, could have been better at that, you know. So the landfill is now set to close. I think it's coming to the end of its life. Right,
No.
these landfill
R.I.P. to a real one.
Yeah. They have a specific, like, I don't know anything about landfills, but obviously it's coming to
It's
the
a
end.
hole in the ground where they put the shit that you throw out of your house, and you can only put shit in a hole for so long before it's not a hole anymore. Like, it is full, and then it becomes a pile of trash, and then they just kind of leave it.
after that.
I mean, they just,
Did they just leave it there?
They leave it to biodegrade.
That's
Or
wild.
not biodegrade in a lot of cases.
leave it for the next generation to deal with,
Yeah.
basically.
Or find 8,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, someone's going to find it. And I think, obviously, James Howells does not want someone from the next generation to find it. So
Yeah.
he has
boomer.
he has put in a bid to buy the landfill.
How much is a landfill?
I do not know, actually, but he is going to put in a bid to buy the landfill because I think it was going to be used as a solar farm.
Nice.
And obviously, he would like to stop the development of an eco-friendly utility to power homes and schools and hospitals
To find a
in order
broken
to
hard
find
drive.
his 8,000 Bitcoin on a hard drive that he can't. I mean, he's got to be sure. He must be so sure he's left it there to take it this far.
I reckon it should be just a massive, crypto whale just gazump him. And I hope that person then finds the 8,000 BTC just to take the piss.
I'm, as someone who's made claims before.
What, you lost all 0.2 of your Bitcoin?
Yeah. No, it's like.
Be rude.
You know when you have a discussion about where something is in your house with a significant other and you're convinced that it's somewhere?
Yeah.
This guy could just be gearing up for the most public I told you so from an ex-girlfriend that anyone's ever seen.
Wild.
I threw out that hard drive because there was nothing on it.
Are they still together?
No.
No.
Oh.
I imagine there's some, if there really was, a seed phrase with access to 8,000 Bitcoins on there and he was so sure about it and she threw it out, I imagine that they're not together.
Yeah. Also,
Why didn't she ask, should I throw this out before she threw it out? There's a lot of questions
I
that
think-
should be asked.
Well,
But
before we start with the questions, though, it's always good to remember that we've only got one side of a story from a couple.
True.
And they might have broken up.
Maybe get her on the podcast as well.
Yeah. Just because this.
get him in the same room. Surprise!
Imagine if you were with someone and every morning they were just angry at you because they were sure that you'd thrown away the seed phrase for their 8 Bitcoins and you hadn't touched that hard drive.
Can you imagine?
Oh, you were sure that that hard drive didn't have a seed phrase on it and you just got
Also-
sick of this guy.
Do we know if it's actually Bitcoin? What if it's like XRP?
Yeah.
Well,
No one's
what a
got any
shame.
idea.
What I
It's Sia coin.
see. This is that's another story.
For
This
another
is-
podcast.
That's another serious story because that is a whole saga as well. As in, like, what we went through. I mean, we won't talk about it now, but we used to run a crypto mining operation above a pizza shop in Kingston.
Sounds like money laundering.
It does. Well, we got booted out, but we got kicked out of there. But that is another story. It's a full-on story.
Not financial advice.
Yeah.
Don't open a crypto mine above a pizza shop in Kingston. It was a lot of hard work.
It was a lot of hard work.
The funniest bit was that we lived in 2 separate countries.
We were at the
No.
time. I
Yeah.
was working in a different country at the time.
Well, like Wales, Scotland.
No.
A hotter country than that.
A hotter,
With lower taxes.
yeah, or no taxes.
And we were video calling while I set up a lot of crypto mining equipment in a rented office.
Anyway, that's a preview for
Yeah.
the next episode.
It's like 10 episodes time by the time we get to
Yeah, I
this
think
stuff.
so. The amount of stuff that we've got to talk about it's just insane. So yeah, he's planning to buy this landfill. At this point, I want to see this operation like to the end.
Yeah.
I want to see how he's going to do it. How is he going to? There must be. I don't know how much rubbish in that landfill, but I want to see the operation. I might even contact him and say, "Can we fucking follow you?"
I think just Google the picture of a landfill and then imagine one that's so full it's closing down. And you'll have an idea of how much stuff there is there.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a massive operation. But the thing is, again, all that keeps coming to my mind is like, what if it's just under the couch? What if he's just misplaced it in between some books or something, and he starts this massive operation and he finds it down the back of the couch or like behind the TV.
If he finds it, then he's probably fine. He just has spent a load of money on a landfill.
You think he'll still go ahead with the transaction of buying said landfill?
He must be.
I don't know how smart this guy is.
He must be sure enough.
Do you know what I would do if I found it and I'd already put an offer in on this landfill? Buy the landfill, set up a solar farm.
It's mine.
Easy money. Yeah, just mine. Crypto with solar energy.
So, Godspeed.
I mean, we're definitely on two different sides of the fence on this. I'm not a fan.
I can, and the thing is, I can totally understand, but like, I want to see him do it.
Yeah.
He must be so sure.
I'm keen to get closure on the story.
Yeah, same. I want closure on the story, but it's good that we have two different viewpoints because like we both want closure from two different sides.
Yeah, I think we should make a bet on Polymarket and see if we see how much of the public think you'll actually find this hard drive and who doesn't. I think we should have a date on it as well.
Okay.
Expiry 2028. #futures.
It is wild. It is wild. But let's continue to follow the story because it's going to get interesting. Just when I thought that it was over, now he wants to buy it. By the time we have the next episode and we're recording, I just wonder what's changed, right? Because he's clearly moving.
Yeah.
He's moving on this, regardless.
It's going to be wild. It'd be some kind of landfill kingpin. Ivanka will be president. What about the Silk Road?
Well, yeah, the guy was released,
wasn't
he? And then I believe shortly after, some massive amount of BTC moved from some wallet that had been dormant.
Yeah.
So he's clearly kept access to his seed phrase in a secure location. Good on
Unlike some.
not in a landfill, in a hard drive.
Yeah, I wonder because that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like even being in prison, do you have access to a Google machine right now?
Yeah.
When were they locked up, and what was the Bitcoin price when they went to prison? Because I bet it was nothing. It was like 10 years ago, right? I reckon they went inside under 10 grand a Bitcoin.
Right.
It was 10 years ago. Yeah. I reckon even under 1,000.
So he was jailed. Well, at least this article is 30th of May 2015.
Yeah.
So if I do a quick Google search for BT15, I'm shaking my head here.
Audio descriptions on.
Are you ready for this?
No.
Bear in mind that it's 90 odd K now.
Yeah.
Touching 100. Back in May 2015, approx, it was 241.
Wild scenes.
I know.
Dollars.
That sigh is just
I had forgotten how low it was.
I know.
I remember Bitcoin not being worth much, but we were active in the crypto space.
Yeah, we were when it was worth naff all.
I remember getting to 1,000 and thinking, right, Bitcoin's peaked.
So what you're telling me is this guy has started a criminal enterprise, gone to prison, come out of prison, and he's richer than you.
He's filthy rich.
Yeah, he's come out of prison.
Wild scenes.
Not just that, he's come out of prison, and I mean, you're better at maths than I am, but 200 to 100,000.
Ridiculous gains.
Yeah.
Well, like coming out, that's not just like you've got gold in a room or you've got pounds or dollars that are depreciating with inflation. You've come out of prison and your net worth is...
Not to mention, he's probably outperformed every single financial institution on the planet.
Yeah.
Any hedge fund.
Anything.
Yeah. By holding one asset.
Yeah.
And then they tell you diversity is key. Lol.
Well, shows what they know.
Disruptive space.
So yeah, I just can't imagine how he felt seeing that executive order come through. He was released, and then for me to hear about that wallet becoming active again, and all that BTC was starting to move about. It was him.
Where did it go?
I don't know, but it was a whale wallet.
Yeah.
It was.
And I'm just curious.
How many whale wallets are there? Is there a set specific amount of numbers, or just anyone with X amount worth of Bitcoin?
Usually
is
anyone
considered
with
a whale?
X amount.
And it's sort of whales are whales because they're so big when they move, everything moves.
Yeah.
So if you start moving a whale wallet, it affects every price.
And
So
there's
it's like just big enough to have that sort of
that pull.
gravitas.
Is it possible to be a whale with Bitcoin at this price?
Yes, but only
if you filled a wallet 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's literally what I was going to say. If you had, this was only possible a long
Diamond
time ago.
hands.
Yeah, massively. But one thing that I am worried about with Bitcoin now is the price of it is priced out the common investor. I think if the price of BTC keeps going high, or even indeed any of the high value cryptocurrency keeps getting higher and higher, it will only be super high net worth individuals or institutions or governments that would be able to buy this. And I think at this point we might start to see like a ceiling.
But again, like there's no point to it. Like Bitcoin, there's nothing there.
It comes back to this, doesn't it? What is it?
That's why it was like the whole thing when I was like, okay, it doesn't do anything. It's just the number goes up or the number goes down, and people keep buying it.
And the thing is, it's not like shares where an owner of a company can do a share split if the value gets too high, such as Amazon and Nvidia last couple of years. Bitcoin is set at a certain amount. Yeah. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no one that can come in now and say, right, we're going to do a split on the price. Or
that's an interesting question though, about how many Bitcoins there are and creation, and then like how coins are created. And because I think one of the most interesting things is that because of its nature, nobody knows how many landfill hard drives there are. So there could be a load of Bitcoin that's being held by people that are in prison, and they come out 10 years later and they move it all. But if you look on the blockchain, it looks exactly the same as someone that's lost theirs in landfill, because it's just sat there in a wallet not moving. So you don't know if people have got access to it.
Yeah.
I have a family member who's in a similar situation, but on a smaller scale.
Really?
Yeah. Four Bitcoins they hid it in a house. And it's just a case of taking the house apart enough to find it.
Oh, no way. So we've got our own local saga.
Yeah.
Have they tried to do anything about it?
Yeah. Got some holes in the floor.
So it's hidden somewhere in the house, but
yeah,
and they've got access to this house.
Yeah.
They live in it.
Yeah.
Right. Shit.
Yeah, we should get them on.
So just to answer your question, currently there are 19,009,601,403 Bitcoins in existence.
How's a Bitcoin made?
How is it made?
Yeah,
Because
we've not really covered this stuff.
No, we haven't. They're mined by computers.
Proof of work.
Yeah, proof of work. That simply do mathematical equations, difficult ones that take a lot of computers a long time to solve, in order to get one Bitcoin as a reward.
Here's another crossover: AI and crypto.
This is next. We've got a lot to cover, mate.
Just mining in seconds.
Yeah. We've got
Shout
so
out
much
Nvidia.
to cover. Yeah.
Oh,
And in terms of Bitcoins left to be mined, it's roughly 1 million.
okay.
So
And then once they're all out,
that's it.
so how?
That's it.
To the moon.
But then how do you do transactions if there's no mining to be done? No one's going to do
I
the
think
mining.
the miners are still going to.
Miner's gone mine.
Yeah, I think they're still going to operate. They're probably just going to change their function. I'm speculating here into just a maintenance where they're just handling the transactions on the network, and they're getting a fee out of it.
And where would the fee come from if there's not new coins?
Oh, I see what you mean. If
'Cause
there's not
currently people do it because if you've got a spare bank of graphics cards that you can run the transactions on, you do that, and you've paid for your graphics cards, and you pay for the quite large amount of electricity it takes to do it, and you pay for all those things to make a transaction work for other people because you get Bitcoin back. Once all the Bitcoins run out, then why is anyone going to do that? That's always been my issue.
That's a good point. I think this is where we might see the use case for Bitcoins change, possibly. But the only option people have at that point is just to use what they've got. And, that's
what I mean. And I think it's going to start going down a lot.
That's what's going to happen. It's going to start going down because the gold rush is over. There is none left.
Not financial advice.
Not financial advice. We need that as a sound effect button here. In the meantime, all I've got is... That's the sound of crypto bros going to buy meme coins.
Yeah.
24/7.
This is what I mean. Like, if it's just a thing where the number goes up and it has no real value, and then once the coins run out, It was a fun test case.
It was a great time.
It showed everyone.
It was brilliant. It was a great time. We had someone digging through a landfill. We had Donald J. Trump, blasting out his own cryptocurrencies and stuff. But the moment that there are no more Bitcoins left to be mined, I reckon we will see the shape of the crypto industry change into maybe a more utility-based, traditional style.
Yeah. I think that's where the change is going to be.
Yeah. So we've got 5 minutes. Is there
anything left on the list? Any questions from the audience?
What audience? You had hacking and dodgy 12 words comment. That's what I put.
Oh my
We had the
God.
12 word comment. We didn't
Yeah.
record that. We were chatting about that before we turned
No.
it.
No. So
Speaking of seed phrases.
yeah, speaking of seed phrases, we've just started this and it's on YouTube, it's everywhere. But on YouTube
Don't forget
especially,
to like and subscribe.
yes, please. On YouTube especially, we're getting every short we upload gets a comment against it. And someone is publicly putting on their comment, "Oh, I need help. Here's my seed phrase." This is a trap in some way or form. This is the we haven't followed it through, so I don't know what this is about. But this is the equivalent of someone coming up to you in the street and saying, "Oh, listen,
Here's my bank card. Here's my PIN
bank
number.
card. Oh, here's my house key, by the way. Do you mind just take it? You can have the house. Here it is. Just take it. Just take it. Like, I don't want it. I just need you to go in my house and move everything around, please.
Yeah.
You can have whatever's in there, but here's the key. Here's the address."
Yeah, because we were trying to work out what it would be, because it seems like an impossible scam that if you have someone's seed phrase, that if you can just open that wallet and there's nothing that they could do to harm you. But it seems like the only thing that they could rely on is that you open the wallet with the 12 words, you send in whatever's in there to your own wallet, and it has a drain.
Yeah.
So
It's quite smart because the only people who would know what to do with 12 words is somebody who has
enough,
12 words in
Yeah.
the past. So therefore,
Yeah.
hence they might actually have crypto.
yeah, so it happened a lot in the NFT space where and I've got maybe 100 in a wallet, and it
Whale
was
wallet.
yeah, the NFTs that just appeared in my wallet. They were sent to me, and they would look a bit like another NFT, and they would have a value of loads. Like, I think I've got one that's supposedly 150 wrapped Ethereum
Right.
for this NFT, and someone sent it to me for free. And I don't think that's true. So there was a thing where if you went on to sell an NFT that they were sort of booby trapped, that your whole wallet would get drained if you executed a command on this NFT as a smart contract. So I'm thinking the idea is you get the 12 words, you send whatever's in that wallet to your wallet, and then that happens.
Yeah. Something along them lines happened, or maybe they collected some data along the way, or maybe you got put onto a gullible list.
Yeah.
The destination that you sent that little bit of like crypto.
Yeah.
They're like, right, here's the target.
Yeah.
So please, if someone comes offering you candies,
Yeah.
Don't
get in the
take
van.
don't get in the van. Don't take the sweets.
Yeah.
If it's too good to be true, it usually is. So I think we're wrapping up.
Yeah, that seems like a good place to end.
Yeah. So just want to say thank you to everyone for listening. As always, we've had some great feedback.
Yeah.
Please like, subscribe, and comment on wherever you're listening to this podcast, because
Ask us some questions and we'll
ask us some questions, because we know that you've got the questions and we might have answers. So bye.
Bye.